Most people don't realize this, but one of the hottest investment markets in the Caribbean right now isn't gold, oil, or even the wild world of cryptocurrency. It's something much more tangible, something you can see, touch, and even live in. I'm talking about real estate. And not just any real estate, Jamaica's real estate. This island, long celebrated for reggae rhythms, endless beaches, and vibrant culture, is quietly becoming one of the most valuable property markets in the entire Caribbean. Already, the Jamaican real estate market is valued at nearly $94 billion US. And here's the kicker. Within the next decade, it's projected to blow past $125 billion. That's not a rumor. That's not speculation. Those are hard numbers backed by surging tourism, steady remittances from Jamaicans living abroad, and massive infrastructure projects that are literally reshaping the island's future. And while global investors rush to hotspots like Miami, Dubai, or Lisbon, many of the best opportunities in Jamaica are still flying completely under the radar. That's where the real gold rush is, the hidden corners of the island where investors are quietly turning keys into cash. So in this video, we're breaking down 8 powerful ways investors are making serious money in Jamaica's booming property market. Stick with me to the end, because number 7 and 8 might completely change the way you see this island, and maybe even inspire you to act. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We cover untold stories of wealth, opportunity, and transformation across the Caribbean and Africa. And if you're serious about staying ahead of the curve, you'll want to be part of this community. Let's start at the very top of the market, luxury real estate. When most people picture Jamaica, they think of palm trees swaying against turquoise waters and stretches of white sand beaches. And yes, those images are real. But what's happening right now goes far beyond the postcard vision. Across Montego Bay, Ocho, Rios, Negril, and even select parts of Kingston, a luxury housing boom is reshaping the landscape. We're talking about multimillion-dollar villas perched on cliffs with panoramic views, sleek penthouses with floor-to-ceiling glass walls, and resort-style residences that feel more like private retreats than homes. Who's buying? It's a mix. You've got foreign buyers from North America and Europe. You've got wealthy families from other parts of the Caribbean. And then there are thousands of Jamaicans living abroad, successful doctors, lawyers, and entrepreneurs who are returning to the island and pouring their savings into prime properties. Prices start around $250,000 for upscale condos, but they climb fast. Some ocean view estates are going for $10 million and more. Developments like Palisadoes residences in Kingston or Pinnacle Estates in Montego Bay aren't just housing projects. They're status symbols. These properties come with smart home systems, infinity pools, private gyms, and in some cases, concierge services and yacht docking access. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Many owners aren't just buying these properties to live in them. They're flipping them into short-term rentals. A villa that cost $1.5 million to build might be generating $8,000 to $12,000 per week during peak tourist season. That's on top of the property appreciating in value every single year. So luxury in Jamaica isn't just lifestyle. It's business. It's income. And for many, it's legacy, a way to own a piece of paradise while creating generational wealth. But let's be honest, not everyone can afford a $2 million villa. And the real revolution in Jamaican real estate is happening in a much more accessible space. Here's a stat that might shock you. In 2024, Jamaica welcomed over 4.2 million visitors. But here's the twist. Nearly 1/3 of those visitors didn't stay in hotels. Instead, they booked Airbnbs, villas, or private homes. This isn't a passing trend. It's a structural shift in tourism. The way people travel is changing. They're not just looking for hotels anymore. They want personal experiences, authentic stays, and the chance to feel like locals. Montego Bay alone has an average daily rental rate of about $375 per night. But if you own a high-end villa, you can pull in over $1,200 a night. Even a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Ocho, Rios, or Duncan's can earn $4,500 per month with just 35% occupancy. Think about that. With just one property and consistent bookings, investors are generating six-figure incomes annually. And here's the best part. It's not limited to millionaires. Ordinary Jamaicans, teachers, retirees, small business owners, are turning spare rooms or family homes into steady cash flow. The secret sauce? Consistency. Clean spaces, reliable customer service, and strong reviews. Once you earn Airbnb superhost status, your property visibility skyrockets, and so do your bookings. And here's the long-term play. Jamaica's Airbnb market isn't just growing, it's exploding. Tourists are spreading beyond Montego Bay and Ocho Rios into smaller towns, bringing opportunity to areas that never saw heavy investment before. For forward-thinking investors, that means buy or build now and let the tourism wave bring the profits. But while Airbnb is great for the visitor market, there's another side of Jamaican real estate that's even more urgent and potentially just as profitable. Now, let's talk about the segment that affects the majority of Jamaicans: affordable and middle-income housing. Here's the truth. While luxury villas grab the flashy headlines, the biggest demand comes from ordinary Jamaicans: young professionals, nurses, teachers, government workers. The country faces a chronic housing shortage. The National Housing Trust, NHD, estimates Jamaica needs over 100,000 new homes within the next decade just to keep up, and the government is stepping in. Financing schemes are expanding. New mortgage programs are being designed to help young professionals buy their first homes. And in a creative twist, diaspora-backed housing bonds are now being introduced, allowing Jamaicans abroad to invest directly in affordable housing developments back home. Developers are also getting innovative. Modular housing, container homes, and prefab units are becoming popular because they're cheaper to produce, faster to assemble, and more resilient against natural disasters like hurricanes. For investors, this is a steady returns play. You might not charge $1,200 per night like a villa owner, but you'll have a waiting list of tenants. Rent in urban centers like Kingston is climbing every year, and the middle-income segment offers something luxury doesn't: reliability. Demand is constant, and that leads us directly into another major factor shaping real estate in Jamaica: the climate itself. Let's face it, Jamaica sits in the hurricane belt, and with climate change intensifying storms, resilience is no longer optional. It's a necessity, but with every challenge comes opportunity, and in this case, it's one of the fastest-growing real estate niches: green, climate-resilient construction. Today's buyers, whether they're locals or international investors, want homes that can stand up to extreme weather and run efficiently. Solar panels, rainwater harvesting, wind-resistant roofing, seismic-resistant designs, and energy-efficient appliances are no longer luxuries. They're expectations. And here's what makes this niche particularly exciting. Insurance companies are starting to reward eco-friendly properties with lower premiums. Some governments are even offering tax breaks or incentives for sustainable building. That means buyers aren't just protecting their homes, they're saving money long-term. For developers and investors, the economics are clear. A green-certified property often sells faster and commands higher prices. And when buyers start competing for resilient, eco-friendly housing, the returns only grow. So in Jamaica, resilience isn't just about safety. It's about profitability, and it's opening a whole new chapter for real estate investors who think ahead. Now, let's zoom out from residential and talk about something bigger: the commercial side of Jamaican real estate. Residential property might dominate the conversation, but Jamaica's commercial real estate sector is quietly booming in its own right. Kingston, the capital city, is seeing huge demand for modern office spaces. With the rise of fintech companies, remote work hubs, and creative startups, old office layouts just aren't cutting it anymore. Sleek, modern co-working spaces are in demand. Meanwhile, Ocho Rios is expanding retail hubs to serve both tourists and locals. In Montego Bay, the demand for warehousing and logistics facilities is skyrocketing. Why? Because Jamaica is positioning itself as a global logistics hub, capitalizing on its location as a crossroads between North and South America. Here's where investors should pay attention: Jamaica's Special Economic Zones, SEZs. These areas offer investors tax relief of up to 90%, duty waivers, and other serious incentives. If you follow the path of government infrastructure, like road networks, ports, and airports, you'll find the next commercial gold mines. But let's say you don't want to buy an office tower or warehouse. Sometimes the smartest play is the simplest one: land. Throughout history, some of the biggest fortunes in real estate weren't made by developing skyscrapers. They were made by buying land early and holding it while development caught up. In Jamaica, the hot growth zones right now are St. Thomas, Trelawney, and Portmore and St. Catherine. Let's take Portmore as an example. It's expected to hit $128 billion in market value by 2028, and it's on track to become Jamaica's 15th parish. What does that mean? Land that was once dismissed as too far out is now gold. As infrastructure projects expand, new highways, bridges, and industrial hubs, the demand for nearby land is exploding. Investors who understand the principle of buy early, hold patiently, and sell when a market matures are already positioning themselves for massive returns. And if there's one group that understands this principle deeply, it's Jamaicans living abroad, the diaspora. If you want to understand one of the deepest forces shaping Jamaica's property market, look no further than the diaspora. Every year, Jamaicans living abroad send billions of dollars back home. Traditionally, a lot of that money went toward groceries, bills, school fees, or emergencies. But over the last decade, there's been a clear shift. More and more of those dollars are flowing into property. This makes perfect sense. For Jamaicans living in cities like New York, Toronto, Miami, or London, real estate back home offers both an emotional connection and a financial opportunity. It's a chance to invest in something tangible, something lasting, and something that can generate returns. We're seeing the rise of diaspora bonds, fractional ownership programs, and retirement-ready gated communities tailored specifically for overseas Jamaicans. Institutions like Jan Group and Victoria Mutual are building special services that allow Jamaicans abroad to purchase or finance property without having to fly back every few months. In other words, the process is being simplified, digitized, and streamlined for the diaspora. The numbers are staggering. According to the Bank of Jamaica, remittances total over $3 billion annually. Even if a fraction of that goes into property development, we're talking about a tidal wave of investment that can reshape entire communities. It's not just about retirement, though that's a major driver. Many overseas Jamaicans are also thinking legacy. They're buying homes for children or grandchildren, securing land for future development, or purchasing properties as rental income streams while they remain abroad. For investors outside the diaspora, this matters too. Why? Because diaspora demand often raises property values in key areas. Neighborhoods once considered sleepy can suddenly become hot investment zones once the diaspora starts buying in. The flow of diaspora dollars acts like a second engine, accelerating the overall growth of Jamaica's real estate economy. Now, let's zoom into another trend that's quietly reshaping cities around the world. And yes, Jamaica is embracing it too. Mixed-use developments. What does that mean? Instead of having separate zones for living, working, shopping, and entertainment, mixed-use projects bring them all together into one seamless space. Picture this. You wake up in a modern apartment, head downstairs for a coffee at the cafe, work remotely from shared office just a few floors below, hit the gym in the afternoon, grab dinner at a restaurant in the same complex, and never once sit in traffic. That's the mixed-use lifestyle. In Kingston and Montego Bay, developers are seizing on this concept with projects that combine residential apartments, shopping centers, office spaces, gyms, and entertainment hubs under one roof. For investors, these properties are extremely attractive because they generate multiple streams of income. Retail tenants, office leases, and residential rents all flow into the same project, diversifying risk. For residents, the appeal is obvious. Less commuting, more convenience, and a modern, urban vibe that feels more connected to how people live in the 21st century. For younger professionals especially, this is the future of city living. Globally, cities like New York, Dubai, and Singapore have already proven how profitable and sustainable mixed-use models can be. Jamaica is now adapting this model to fit its own urban growth. And with infrastructure improvements like the Highway 2000 project expanding access across the island, these developments are poised to spread beyond Kingston and Montego Bay in the coming years. So if you're an investor, here's the question: would you rather bet on a single rental property or tap into a complex that generates income from multiple sources? For many, mixed use is becoming the smarter long-term play. Now that we've walked through the 8 major opportunities: luxury villas, Airbnb rentals, affordable housing, climate-resilient construction, commercial hubs, raw land, diaspora investment, and mixed-use projects, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Jamaica's property market is no longer just about vacation homes on the beach. It's evolving into one of the Caribbean's most dynamic, diversified, and future-ready real estate environments. Each segment, from high-end to affordable, feeds into the other. Tourism fuels Airbnb demand. Infrastructure upgrades push land values higher. The diaspora injects billions in capital. Climate resilience redefines design and construction. Together, these forces create a cycle of growth that is both powerful and sustainable. But the most important takeaway is this: Jamaica's real estate boom isn't coming someday. It's already here. The question is whether investors, local, diaspora, or foreign, are ready to position themselves in the right place at the right time. Before we wrap up, let's expand with some bonus insights that add even more depth to this story. First, let's talk numbers. The residential real estate market alone is valued at $76 billion and growing at about 4% annually. That growth may sound modest, but compounded over a decade, it's enormous. Second, the Airbnb story isn't limited to urban centers. Smaller towns like Duncan's are producing surprising results. A single property there can earn around $4,500 per month at just 35% occupancy. That's proof that opportunities exist outside the obvious hotspots. Third, properties built with green features aren't just more attractive to eco-conscious buyers. They're also more financially efficient. Lower energy bills, reduced insurance costs, and government incentives make them practical investments, not just ethical choices. Fourth, diaspora-backed projects are becoming large-scale. Take Penn Village in Old Harbor, St. Catherine. This entire housing project is financed by diaspora bonds. That's not just individuals buying a few homes. That's an entire community being funded from abroad. When you put these factors together, the scale of Jamaica's transformation becomes crystal clear. We're not just looking at a hot market. We're looking at a structural shift that could permanently elevate Jamaica's position in the regional and global real estate scene. But let's not forget the human side of all this. Real estate isn't just about buildings, numbers, or returns. It's about people. For Jamaicans on the island, the real estate boom offers new opportunities for homeownership, entrepreneurship, and stability. For diaspora families, it offers a bridge back home, a way to stay connected to roots while building wealth. For foreign investors, it offers access to a market with high growth potential and strong cultural appeal. Imagine a young Jamaican nurse finally moving into her first home after years of renting, or a retiree in London who buys a villa in Montego Bay, both as an investment and as a retirement plan, or a local entrepreneur who builds a small Airbnb business, hiring staff, and contributing to the local economy. These stories remind us that behind every property deal, there are lives being shaped. Now, no story about real estate would be complete without addressing the risks. It's not all smooth sailing. Affordability remains a challenge. As property values climb, many middle-class Jamaicans worry about being priced out of the market. Developers and policymakers need to ensure that the boom doesn't leave everyday citizens behind. There's also the issue of infrastructure. Growth zones like St. Thomas or Portmore will only thrive if the promised roads, bridges, and utilities are actually delivered on time. Investors who jump in too early without considering these factors may face delays or underwhelming returns. And finally, there's the climate question. Hurricanes and rising sea levels pose real risks, especially for coastal properties. Investors who ignore resilience features may find their assets vulnerable, both physically and financially. But here's the thing. Every investment comes with risks. And in Jamaica's case, the opportunities appear to far outweigh the challenges. So what does the next decade look like for Jamaica's real estate market? Expect continued growth in luxury tourism areas, especially as Jamaica strengthens its position as one of the Caribbean's top travel destinations. Expect massive expansion in affordable housing as the government and private sector race to close the gap. Expect diaspora investments to increase, especially as technology makes cross-border transactions easier than ever. Expect land and growth zones to continue appreciating, fueled by infrastructure projects. And expect mixed-use developments to redefine urban life in Kingston, Montego Bay, and beyond. In short, Jamaica's property market is moving from hot to unstoppable. And for those who position themselves wisely, the returns could be life-changing. Here's the bottom line. Jamaica's property market isn't just heating up. It's transforming. From luxury villas and Airbnb rentals to affordable housing, green builds, commercial hubs, raw land, diaspora investments, and mixed-use cityscapes. All of these forces are converging to create one of the Caribbean's most dynamic investment opportunities. The question isn't whether Jamaica's real estate market will grow. It already is. The real question is this: will you be part of it? Four-season investors, first-time buyers, or diaspora members looking to reconnect with home, the doors are wide open. Behind those doors lies not just property, but wealth, security, and legacy. So, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into Jamaica's real estate transformation, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to the channel. We've got more untold stories of opportunity, wealth, and transformation coming your way. And trust me, you won't want to miss them.